Dallas Mavericks versus Minnesota Timberwolves. I think this is going to be a great series for the Western Conference Finals. Definitely much more entertaining than I believe the Eastern Conference Finals will be. This series really to me is like a coin flip. There's so many variables in play in this series, I feel, just when you look at both of these teams. This series could go the distance, I believe, 7 games. It wouldn't surprise me if it goes that far. These teams present different matchup problems for each other, I believe. So when I look at the Timberwolves, the way I think that they can beat the Dallas Mavericks is that they're going to have Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels guard the Mavericks backcourt of Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. My belief is they're going to try to smother them in the backcourt with aggressive, tenacious defense. They're going to press them aggressively and try to force a lot of turnovers. Luka during these playoffs has been a turnover machine. He's averaging 4.1 turnovers per game, despite averaging 9.1 assists. That's really the best thing to do with Luka is to just disrupt him, disrupt his passing lanes, force him into some bad turnovers. You can get some points off of that can disrupt momentum. I think Kyrie will be much harder to force turnovers from, though, because I think he's only averaging like 2 turnovers per game in these playoffs. I'm just going to check right now. 2.5 turnovers. He's averaging that, but the ball's not too much in his hands as much as it is in Luka. Luka's the primary playmaker, but I think Kyrie is harder to disrupt when it comes to playing aggressively and attacking him aggressively on the defensive end, because his ball handling skills are just elite, out of this world. I think he's going to be able to dribble through any trap that they put on him in this series. I think he's going to have that advantage on them. It'll be interesting to see if Minnesota tries to start off by having Michael Conley guard him. Michael Conley at his old age, I don't think can stay in front of Kyrie. Kyrie, to me, is still in his prime. He's like towards the end of it, but he's still in there. He still has some gas left in the tank. So I expect Kyrie to exploit that matchup whenever Michael Conley's on him. I think Anthony Edwards will be the guy primarily guarding him. So I think that's going to happen. And I think in this matchup, that Edwards is definitely going to go at him aggressively to see if he can hold him, kind of like when he's had some success with Jamal Murray. I'm going to say some. I'm not going to say all the time, even though he's bragging about how he locked him up in that second half of Game 7. Kyrie has such a great jump shot, and I think Kyrie is healthy, so I expected to have more success in scoring against him than Jamal did. Jamal was streaky, but I think Kyrie's going to be consistently good, and that's going to cause a lot of problems with Anthony Edwards guarding him. Now, I think Jaden McDaniels can't stop Luka at all, but no one really can. My biggest concern with Luka would be his efficiency. Just he's been shooting terrible in these playoffs. He's been playing through injuries. He's shooting 42 overall from the field, which is terrible, despite averaging 27 points per game during the playoffs. I would like to see more efficiency from Luka, but I definitely think Jaden McDaniels will try to harass and disrupt him. But Luka is very crafty. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets Jaden McDaniels in foul trouble. This will be a much, much, much harder matchup for Jaden McDaniels to cover, unlike his matchup with Michael Porter Jr. in the previous series. So I think it's going to be very challenging for Jaden McDaniels. It wouldn't shock me to see him in foul trouble just about every game in this matchup. So that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to aggressively try to harass those two guys in the backcourt Dallas has. And it'll be also interesting to see if they have Michael Conley guard Derrick Jones for stretches, just to see if they can cheat by sticking him on that matchup. Granted, Derrick Jones has been very solid in these playoffs. He's actually been better in the playoffs than the regular season. In that scenario, Dallas could adjust by getting him easy buckets to exploit that mismatch. That's a little thing to watch, I would say. The other big thing to watch in this matchup would be, when it comes to Minnesota beating the Mavericks, would be their biggest advantage is their size, that they will aggressively crash the boards. I definitely believe so. They're going to go aggressively for the rebounds on both ends of the court, especially the offensive end. I see them crashing the boards for easy second chance points. So look for them to attempt that. That's really their strength, and obviously they should exploit that. So that's how I see them trying to beat the Mavericks, by pressuring Kyrie and Luka into making a lot of careless turnovers. That's how you go at them. Get. I don't think Anthony Edwards is going to get either of those guys in foul trouble, because I don't think either of them will guard him. Dallas is not going to put either of those two. I don't see it. So he could try to attack them, but I think the only way he's going to be able to do is on switches, obviously, in case he gets in the crossfire. But that's really going to be their strategy: force turnovers from them, try to make them less efficient, both of them, and crash the boards. Just go relentlessly at the boards, exploit Karl Anthony Towns' mismatch with PJ Washington in the post. That's another thing to be on the lookout for. I definitely think they're going to try to do that. And that's why I think, obviously, Cat is the X factor for the Timberwolves in this series, that he's big, and I think they're going to need him to be consistently good in this series, like a 20-10 player. Just that's what they need. That's what he was during a regular season. Now, when I go to the Mavericks, how I believe they can beat the Timberwolves, I think they have a huge advantage in the backcourt with Luka and Kyrie. I think if those guys are efficient, they can really get the Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels in foul trouble. Both of them are very crafty, so that could be a way to exploit the Minnesota, perimeter. Just those two guys right there. I would say Dallas should gamble. They should not try to stop Anthony Edwards. I believe in taking the risk of letting Anthony Edwards get his, whatever that is, 30, 40 points. Don't try to aggressively double team Edwards. I don't believe that's a winning strategy that they should try to employ. The guy that they should double team is Cat. I believe that you cheat off of Gobert with Gafford, and you offer help to PJ Washington whenever Cat gets the ball in the baseline in those areas. You want to do the quick doubles. If he's on the perimeter, fine, you live with that. But I think in the post area, always quick doubles on Cat. You want to harass him. You want to force him into bad shots. You want to force him into turnovers. I would definitely put him on that island. Just dare Gobert to be a jump shooter in the series. Just force him to take shots. Try to limit the easy putback dunks, lobs, because Gobert's offensive game is very limited outside of putbacks and lobs. So you want to force him to be a jump shooter. That's really what I would do. See if you could force him to be unplayable in the series at times when going small against them. I think that's another thing that they could do. And I would say just try to shut down Michael Conley and Jaden McDaniels. I think the best way to do it is by not double teaming Anthony Edwards. Put him on an island where he has to score a lot of points, where he has to score way above 30. If you could do that, force him and Cat to be the two guys to beat you on the offensive end. Make them have to put up Kobe Shaq like numbers, like Kobe and Shaq did in their primes, when they both at times had to score 30 apiece to get the Laker wins in the playoffs. I would actually try to dare them in that regard, and try to take out the rest of those guys in their starting lineup. The other key guy I feel for the Minnesota off the bench is Naz Reid. I really like the Mavericks rookie Derek Lively. He's been actually slightly better in the playoffs than during the regular season, which is very promising if you're a Mavs fan. I think Lively can cancel out Naz Reid. I think he can effectively just guard him and just limit him. If he can do that, that can help them win. You take Naz Reid, you take their sixth man out of the equation, then it comes down to their other bench players, and you look at their bench. Nickeil Alexander, he's decent. He's had his moments in these playoffs. He's okay, but Dallas can really match him with Josh Green and Jalen Hardy, those other guys. The other guy I would say that's important for Dallas from the bench is Tim Hardaway Jr. He's been hurt throughout these playoffs. He's had ankle injuries. Just hopefully with these few days of rest, if you're a Mavericks fan, you're hoping he's back at full strength. If he is, he can make a huge impact in the series. Hardaway has always been a streaky player, so you never know when Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to drop 20 points and when he's going to have a game where he only has like 2 or 4 points. He's like that. But if he can contribute and have some solid games, I think Dallas can win the series. It's just going to come down to it. So I feel like the X factors on both these teams for Minnesota is going to be Karl Anthony Towns. I believe so. And Naz Reid off the bench. For Dallas, I believe it's going to be Kyrie Irving. I think he's going to be the X factor for them. And off their bench, I would say Tim Hardaway Jr. because you don't know what he's going to bring. So those are X factors. I think they could decide who wins the series. This will be very interesting. I have a hard time really picking who's going to win this series. To me, it's really like a coin flip. It could just go either way. There's so many intangibles how this plays out. Just this is really, really hard. I'm going to have to make a decision. So I'm going to go with Dallas in 6 games. That's my bold prediction. So there you have it, Dallas in 6 games.